Hello, my name is Darpan Singh, and this is my CSCI 1300 project 2. For this project, I was tasked to code the game Candyland, and my code implements an interactive board game that is actually modeled after the popular game Candyland. But I think that this version of Candyland has a lot of twists and secrets that make it much more interesting than I remember regular Candyland being. And I've coded my version of Candyland to be for anywhere between 2 to 4 players. And the objective of the game is to reach the castle first. And this version of Candyland is a little bit more complex. And so it allows for sabotage against other players, and players need to use strategy and resource management to be the first to reach the castle. This is my implementation of the driver file for my game. And as you can see, it's not very long. And that's because I chose to take a very function-oriented approach. As I was coding, everything that I could put into a function, I did put into a function. And the result is a driver file that's only 47 lines long. And I think part of the beauty of this is that it let me break the project down into bite-sized chunks that was way more manageable to code rather than a really large driver file, and it made it easier for me to modify the game as I went along, as things were not dependent upon each other, and I could edit something within a function and not have it break my entire code. And as you can see, like my driver file is really simple. Basically, the entire game is, or 99% of the game is implemented within this loop, which is really convenient. This is my header file for the board, and I've made quite a few changes in it, starting with changing the player positions to be a vector instead of just a single integer. This allows me to have multiple players, and also adding things like hidden treasures and hidden treasure positions and ruby rupture positions and fearsome fudge positions. I also use I added a lot of functions to match my implementations. And I think my favorite one is the find next color tile, which allows me to move the player based on the card they draw. And you can see that in my implementation of game. Well, first, here's my game header file, which has a lot of functions that make my life a lot easier. And and so and this is my implementation of game. And what it does is basically when it draws a card, it uses the find next color tile, and it moves the player to the position that the next color tile is. And that's what I think the hardest part about coding this game was figuring out how to move the players and how to move the players when they draw a double card. And the using functions made it really easy because I could just call the function twice and it let me do what I wanted to do. And finally, this is my last class. This is my player class. And this is what stores the information of every player in the game and also modifies the information of every player in the game and lets me work with a lot of data that the players have, such as their inventory, their character name, their stamina, etc., etc. And implementing this was also a bit challenging since there is so much data to handle within the game. And because I have a variable amount of characters that can be in the game from 2 to 4, I had to make use of a lot of vectors so that my code would be able to handle having a variety of player numbers. All right, here I'm going to do a demonstration of my code. And so we're going to compile it first. Um, and now that's compiled, we can go ahead and uh, run it. And so it welcomes you to the game of Candyland and it asks you how many players that you want to have. And the minimum is 4, the minimum is 2, and the maximum is 4. And obviously it checks for invalid inputs. And so we're gonna have a 4-player game, and my name is Darpan, and it lets you choose the character that you want to play. And so I'm gonna be Caramel Carl, and I'm going to load up the rest of the characters, and I'll be right back. Okay, now we have all of the characters loaded into the game. As you can see, they're all sitting on the first tile. And something challenging about having 4 players in the game is figuring out how to display all 4 characters on the board. And what I chose to do is have a spot for each character on the board, and when they move on the board, for example, if one moves to this position, they'll replace the first line with the one, and that's how you'll know that one is on the fourth tile. And now it's asking the user if, or it's asking each player if they want to visit the candy store. I'm going to say yes, just because I want to, and I want to purchase a venomous vortex. And because my inventory is currently full, I can choose to replace a candy in my inventory, and I'm going to replace the Frosty Frizz. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to say no to the other players um, visiting the candy store, and now the game starts. And so it's my turn, and I'm going to draw. You can show your player stats. You can use a candy, um, but I don't really want to use a candy right now, so I'm going to type exit. And so I'm just going to play my turn. I'm going to draw a card, and as you can see, I drew a double pink card, and so it moved my character to the second next pink tile. And a calamity occurred, and the bandits took my candy, and 8 gold was removed from my inventory. And now it's Joe's turn, and he's gonna draw a card, and he's gonna press D, and he landed on a special tile, and so he gets an extra turn. So he's gonna draw another card, and he got another special tile, and he's gonna have another turn, and so he's gonna draw another card. And he landed on hidden treasure. I don't really know the answer to this riddle, so I'm just gonna say lol. And he landed on another hidden treasure. Lol. And just for the sake of time, I've taken us to the end. In this case, player 2 won. They reached the castle first, and so it outputs Joe wins Candyland, and it shows you all the stats for all the characters, and it outputs a results.txt and gives you the finishing stats of all the characters. That is my project. Thank you very much.